Hello everyone and welcome back to a new Road to TCG Worlds 2017. Now, last week we analyzed what happened in Australia, in Melbourne at the International, and then we analyzed what happened at Malmo, Sweden at the Regional, where we saw some very interesting decks, one of which was this Quad Lapras deck. Now, a lot of things in this list, well, not a lot, but a few things in this list go a bit against my own personal idea of how to approach building a deck and or how to approach a metagame, because if, like, in my mind, if the top deck is a decidueye deck, which is grass type, going in with a all grass weak deck seems counterintuitive to me, at least. But the player who used this deck, Carl Peters, who got all the way to top 4, it wasn't out of purely luck, you know? So I haven't played with the deck just yet, so I'm very curious as to how it plays out. And if you want to see a more in-depth analysis about each card choice and everything, please take a look at last week's video. It has a really cool thumbnail saying Malmo top deck, so it's impossible to not find. And there you can see an analysis on the deck we are featuring today and the deck we are featuring tomorrow, which is Espion Decidueye. So definitely check it out if you want some more in-depth info. But if you're here to see how it plays out and how the games go, then let us begin, shall we? I hope during the games I remember like what I actually have available to me during the game. There we go, Malmo 3rd place. So let's get right into it. Quad Lapras against potentially Umbrian Espion-esque deck, not entirely sure. We do win the flip, which is always great. We don't mulligan, which is something that you would probably expect out of this deck. Very commonly, I would say. But we don't get too much going besides that. We hit one of the 2 elixirs, which is one of the things that I personally don't agree with in terms of the deck. Running just 1 elixir seems pretty weird. But wow, my opponent is actually using a Rainbow Road deck, so that actually seems like a terrible matchup for this deck. You do have a lot of energy denial, so hopefully that works. Using this Judge on turn 1 will hopefully help us as well. Okay, so we're gonna pass here. There's the elixir. I mean, I'm complaining that we are only using 2, and in both hands I've actually found an elixir. And my opponent does NS, so that's pretty cool. He did attach a DCE, which is great because we can Enhanced Hammer that away. And there's the Enhanced Hammer. We actually get to use Dive Ball as well to find another Lapras. And the Fighting Fury Belt doesn't matter because we hit for 160 damage exactly. The Sycamore top deck, not ideal. My opponent only has 3 cards in his hand, so I'm not a huge fan of discarding the Seeker and the Hammer and the Olympia and another Sycamore, but I generally don't want to use Seeker for a Judge to give my opponent an extra card, you know? So we do hit 2 energy, we hit a replacement stadium, which is great. And let's see, can we hit the elixir? We can. Surprisingly, we can. And now, based on our current board, I do think attaching to the active Lapras is the best choice here. The Fighting Fury Belt as well to pressure my opponent. And let's just collect here. So we get an extra 3 cards. We find a Crushing Hammer to try and deny energy from a probably benched Cernias, since I doubt he will attach to the active, as another energy will make it so that it gets KO'd. But no, he actually does attach, and he concedes immediately. So okay, that works. And I do like the concept of the Lapras. Like, its intention is to slow down the game with the energy denial cards it has, in order to give you enough time to power up the 1 or 2 Laprases. Well, mostly 2. But I'm not sold on the 2 elixir. Like, I'm sure you could find the space for 2 more elixir, at least 1 more. You know, at least 1 more. I'm not a huge fan of the teams called Grunt, and okay, seems like we're up against Volcanion now, which the Fighting Fury belts should prove very useful in this match. The GX attack should be pretty good as well. Not because of the paralysis, but simply because that way you don't have to spend 2 turns, or you don't have to find a switch or a ranger in order to deal more damage. We are going second this time around, and we do see a Volcanion EX. So when you're using Volcanion and you see a Lapras immediately, you should probably expect to not have such a good time. But we'll see. I mean, Volcanion can definitely pull off a lot of things, and with the Fighting Fury belt, you do hit that magical 230 number, so that's not too bad. And if I don't manage to attach a Fighting Fury belt to my Laprases, then 2 steam ups will do the job for my opponent. We do see 1 of each Volcanion EX, just like Pedro used in the final. And yeah, we start to see the elixirs going, which he does whiff, unfortunately. And our hand, I would say, is mediocre. Wow, that energy. Wow. That looks really cool. Like, I know there's a new foil effect, but I had not seen that energy yet. I can't wait for them to release Holo Sun and Moon energy. I'm going to collect so many of those. Like, I love the new design. I absolutely love it. I think the only design I might like more, or just as much, is the one from Emerald back in the day. And yeah, we see a switch towards the baby Volcanion, which does make sense. We do have Rough Seas to heal off the damage. My opponent does play Skyla though, interestingly, for a Sky Field, and that's okay, because if a Rough Sea sticks rather, then the damage that baby Volcanion manages to deal will not be too relevant. Now, my opponent has 1 card in hand, and he's Sky-led for a Sky Field. So the last card in his hand is either an N or a Sycamore, I would assume. He doesn't have any energy in play. Energy denial is not that important here. It's mostly powering up Lapras, so I guess I have to dig for the max elixirs. Like, I know my opponent has either an N or a Sycamore, but I'm not too bothered by that. And wow, I actually dead draw off of the Sycamore. I think attaching the Fighting Fury belt to a bench Lapras is better, because this one will have residual damage. And let's just collect here. Thankfully, collect saves us from that horrible hand. We don't get too much of an improvement, but the Judge can potentially limit my opponent right here. Seems like my opponent top decks, yep. Top decks a Fire Energy, plays a Berserker for the Sycamore, which makes sense. Yeah. So I'm happy that we both got good starts, so that we actually get to showcase the deck a little bit more. I already have a Lysander in my discard pile, so I can try, or the idea would be to try to avoid attacking into this Volcanion and rather just KOing 3 EXs instead of playing the 7 price game. But we'll see. We shall see. I mean, every time Lapras attacks, it's gonna KO something, no matter what. 100% every time Lapras attacks, we are going to get a KO. We do see 2 steam ups, so 90 damage coming our way. Might be more, because he does have all 4 Volcanion EX already in play, but there's definitely a very delicate balance that you need to consider when discarding your energy off a Volcanion, keeping some energy in your hand to power up for next turn, and to attach your energy per turn. So I think that's where a lot of people sometimes go wrong in using Volcanion. But yeah, my opponent does go for the 3rd power heater, steam up rather, sorry. And so we do get 120 damage dealt back to us. Now I'm gonna Crushing Hammer here. I do get heads, so I'm gonna discard the energy off of the active. And see, I could make my deck a little bit thinner of the energy switches. I could also just assume the Lapras-GX gets knocked out, but I think going for the Judge plus a collect is still strong here, because my opponent will need a total of 3 basic energies, having already gone through 5 in order to KO the Lapras. So I'm okay with this. I think I am actually okay with this. I do find the rough seas finally. I find another energy. I find the Lysander, so as long as this Lapras survives, I think we are in an okay position. Oh wow. So never mind, my opponent did get the energy and the Professor's letter. Wow. That's actually terrible. That is actually terrible for us. He's gonna get the KO, he's gonna have 2 Volcanions powered up, and because we are not finding the 2 elixirs, we don't have a Lapras powered up. So maybe it would have been better to just play the energy switch and forego the collect. I mean, I'm learning with the deck. I have not played a single game before recording this video, so I'm learning as we go. And it's useful to comment on things that you might have done better, because like there's always room for improvement and for better plays. So he has 4 energy in play and 5 in the discard. That's 9 energy. Okay, the end could potentially help us in the sense that we might find an elixir. No, we don't. Wow. Wow. Okay. Can't believe I'm gonna have to attack into the Volcanion, most likely. And our only draw card is Kukui, which is not ideal. Well, I can collect next turn. So sure, my opponent does get 2 prizes. Sure, he has a Volcanion EX powered up. He has 6 energy in play, 3 in the discard. That means only 7 energy, or 3 energy rather, available to him. Maybe 4 if he's running 13. But sure, he's gonna get rid of the Shaman and the Hoopa here. It's no big deal. We have 4 Volcanion EXs to target, so it's generally not a big deal here. He very likely won't be able to KO the Lapras-GX in the active slot, so I'm gonna attach that there. I'm gonna attach an energy there to collect, and I'm gonna play the Kukui so I can draw more cards. And now what I'm looking for is a switch. That's the card I'm looking for. I don't I don't get the switch, so it's very unlikely that I'll be able to power up the benched Lapras-GX. Although, well, see, because I did attach the Fighting Fury belt to the benched Lapras instead of the active, well, it's a tough situation, because I might run out of energy once again. Yeah, attaching 1 energy per turn just seems so weak here. generally seems very weak. But my opponent has gone through 1 switch and 2 float stones. Wow, he has 2 Professor's Letter. And he has the Olympia. Are you kidding me? You have the Olympia and the 2 fire energy? Wow, and you even attach a fire energy? Okay, no. He actually chooses not to KO. Or well, not chooses not to KO, but... Okay. This gives us an out to the switch. But do I dig for the switch with a Sycamore here? Is that my play? I know I don't have. There's only 1 switch. I think I'm gonna have to dig here. Well, I have 100 damage on me. I have 100 damage. I've already healed 30. No, I only have 1 switch. That's terrible. If I heal 60 more, Lapras will have 150 HP. But I will have all my energy on that Lapras. If he finds a single fire energy, or an energy retrieval, or the fisherman, then that's game. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna dig for the switch, I guess. Can't believe 1 is priced though. That's also pretty bad. Okay. I'm not sold that this is the best play. I'm generally not sold. But it's the one I went for, I guess. Here goes nothing. 1 out of 27 cards. Yeah, odds are not good here. Odds are not good at all. And yeah, we do not find it. Okay, we do find the Olympia, potentially for next turn. I do flip 1 heads, which is cool. Because now he needs to find a Ranger or a Switch card. And I only flip 1 heads. Okay, fair enough. So we pass here. Now we have access to Olympia. The thing is, he can just retreat into the baby Volcanion. And that's terrible as well. But he has no Fighting Fury belt on a Volcanion EX. So he would need all 4 steam ups in order to KO our powered up Lapras-GX. So if we can somehow avoid the KO here... Oh, he has a Ranger. Never mind. Never mind. So now the Olympia is useless. The right play was to heal. The right play was to heal the Lapras-GX. Okay. It's no big deal. It's generally no big deal. Now what I need to do is find my Verseekers for Lysanders. So I only have 2 Verseekers left, in theory. There's the switch, there's the 2 energy switch. I'm not gonna burn them, but what I will do is take a KO with my GX attack. That way I can still use Blizzard Burn next turn and Lysander up a powered up Volcanion EX. So as long as he doesn't end us here, we should be okay. We generally should be okay. And if damage is a big issue, I could even switch out into the new Lapras-GX because I can power it up through the energy switches. So even though we are down in price cards, we are still good here. We are actually still good here, I think. Yeah, Team Skull Grunt, I don't know. He finds a fish. Okay. Despite him finding the fisherman, well, if he attacks with a Volcanion EX, I end him. I switch out to the new one and I end him. If he attacks with a baby Volcanion, then I I Lysander. I still switch, but I Lysander. He does play the Fisherman, but who does he attack with? Oh, is he going to be able to find the other Volcanion he just put back? Is he really? 3 Steam Ups doesn't KO me. He needs the 4th. 3 Steam Ups does not KO me. Man, this is a really good match. There's 1 Steam Up. One Steam Up. 2 Steam Ups. That's great because he's also wasting his energy, I guess. And therefore it's unlikely that if I do end him down to 2 cards that he will get an energy to Steam Up and the Lysander to KO the Lapras, which after Ruffy's healing will have 40 HP left. And there's a Volcanic Heat. Okay, so he doesn't even try for the 220 damage. Okay, so first off, let's heal. Now we are definitely burning up, or using up rather, as many cards as possible, because it's gonna come down to can we find our Lysander before he gets something else going. We obviously don't find anything off of the Dive Ball because there's literally nothing left. But I will do this. I will switch into the brand new Lapras-GX and I will end my opponent down to 2 cards. So turns out wasting my GX attack might have not been ideal. But how was I to know, guys? How was I to know? And we don't find either a Ranger or our last verse Seeker. We know 1 switch is prized, so that's something that could go in our way because there's 4 prizes left only. And let's just Blizzard Burn here for the knockout and tying up the game. So our prize cards give us the switch and the max elixir. Okay, the max elixir is not useful. The switch is potentially very useful. Because at this point we can afford to retreat. Like after I can play the switch and then retreat. He finds a Verse Seeker. He can't possibly have 2 basic energy in his hand, right? That's just not possible. Well, he doesn't have that many in the discard actually. Only 7, like 6 and 1, so he still has 5 potential energy. But he grabs the Sycamore. Okay, that's good news. That's good news. Okay. Energy on the baby Volcanion and the Sycamore. Okay. So if we can somehow top deck the last Verse Seeker, we are good. Odds are we probably won't. But we still get to judge my opponent. We still get to like judge as in play the card, not judge who he is or what he does. Burn up the max elixir, maybe even hit it, and use up the switch and attach an energy so that no matter what, the bench Lapras-GX can take a KO. It's also slowly, very slowly healing itself up, and we do see 1 Steam Up. We do see 2 Steam Ups, okay. And we saw an energy to the baby Volcanion. So that's 10 of his potential 12 total energy. He's making his deck ultra hyper thin. Wow, gets rid of another Volcanion EX and a Sycamore. Grabs a Shaman. So my guess is... no, I have no idea what he's going for. But his deck is pretty thin at this point. Honestly though, I would have kept the Shaman in hand. I would have definitely kept the Shaman in hand. Removes the Rough Seas. That's our 3rd Rough Seas? Yeah, that's our 3rd Rough Seas. And he's gonna power up the baby Volcanion here. Okay, this is not good news now. Okay, let's burn the max elixir. We do hit. see there's a Seeker. We shall play the switch. We shall attach an energy to the active, and my opponent has 7 cards left in his deck. How many Lysanders? How many versus Seekers? Wow, only 2 versus Seekers and 0 Lysander played. That's bad news. That is actually really bad news. But only 2 energy left. Ugh. Anyways. We do find a rough seas. I guess that's better than nothing. But now it's gonna come down to, does he have energy Lysander for the KO off of his 7 card deck? I'm going to assume he does. He doesn't even need the team ups. Oh well. We needed that last Seeker. Like the first few turns where we burned those Seekers and the Lysanders, those were the key things. And the turn where I didn't conserve the energy and the Lapras-GX got KO'd. If I had played the energy switch beforehand, I would have been golden. But now, only 2 cards left in my opponent's deck. We are very likely to see an energy and a Lysander for the game. I would be really surprised if he doesn't have that. Plays an Ultra Ball to drag the game longer. He's looking at his deck. He discards an N and a Sycamore. So now the 2 cards in his hand need to be an energy and a Lysander. There's a Seeker, but there's no Lysander in his discard pile. He grabs a Fisherman. He's gonna deal 170 damage. Exact damage. Wow. Exact damage. Wow. I guess I didn't consider that. But yeah, odds were in my favor. Or I mean, odds were in my opponent's favor, rather, for him to win. So yeah, we were 1 turn away. Losing to Volcanion though, with a quad Lapras deck, definitely doesn't feel great. Now we're up against another Volcanion deck. Hopefully we can play a lot better, but here I'm pretty sure this first game really showcased why attaching a single energy per turn is really bad. Like, if you want this deck to work, in my opinion, like, yes, Carl got to top 4 and it wasn't a fluke. He's a really good player from Germany. It's not the only result he has. He has a great record of results. But I cannot accept a 2 max elixir list. Like, if it's good with 2 elixirs, it's going to be an absolutely incredible deck with 4. Anyways, seems like my opponent has found a basic now. He's taking his sweet time, and there it is. Okay. Okay, so I do want a mulligan, and we do get to go first. Unfortunately though, we don't have a single energy. So how many energy are there in the deck? We're gonna have to judge here. There's 1 energy prized. I believe I saw 2 Fighting Fury belts were prized, which is not great. I don't want to burn the switch, as we saw in the previous game, and yep, we're gonna lose a ton of momentum off of this judge. As long as we can find an energy, which we do not. I was gonna say things were not gonna be too bad, but the fact that we don't have an energy on turn 1 and we're attaching 1 energy per turn, this is just absolutely atrocious once again. Absolutely atrocious. Scorched Earth, so we should be good to win the the stadium war. And my opponent actually plays Town Map in his Volcanion, which, fair enough, it's a valid card, but it's not a great card in my opinion. Now off of the Sycamore we actually don't draw anything, so we're just gonna collect here. And yeah, it's like if we were finding like 1 or 2 elixirs per game, we would be pretty good, because we could just infinitely collect with the active Lapras whilst building one on the bench. But that's just not gonna be the case. Seems like my opponent is drawing pretty dead though. So let's remove his energy, because why not? We don't even get to do that. And now I could judge my opponent, but he's stuck, so I really don't want to do that. I'd just rather collect here. And if we find an energy switch, which we do, we can actually KO the Volcanion EX in the next turn, so that's pretty cool. That is definitely pretty cool. And yeah, it all comes down to my opponent just outright whiffing. And yeah, there's a concession because we had the switch, we had the energy switch. My opponent did not know this, but yeah, let's find another game. Hopefully a better game than the previous one. And the first game was really good. It was really, really close. And we were always like 1 card short of getting back into the game. And my opponent played it out perfectly. It came down to me needing the Lysander and him needing the Seeker for the Fisherman. For some reason, either he didn't play Lysander, or it was his prize card and his last card in the deck or something. Wow, and that's also another important thing. We're getting pretty lucky here, and we're not mulliganing at all, which is pretty weird for this quad Lapras deck. Like, I can't tell you how many times uh-oh if the CDI is a bad matchup, then this is a horrible one. An absolutely horrible matchup. Turn 1 Lurantis GX, very likely turn 1 Plume. Yeah, like oh boy, we are in for quite the treat. Is he going to get the turn 1 Plume? Is he really? Turn 1 double Lurantis. Oh. Does he go for Shaman or does he go for Plume? He actually discarded the Sycamore and the end, so I mean, with our quad Lapras deck, we are up against a turn 1 Plume Lurantis. Wow. And in our hand are 3 useless switch. He had another Sycamore, so that's 3 Sycamore total played, I believe, or 2. No, yeah, 3. And no energy from my opponent, which is good news, I guess. Would I end here? I think I do, because I'm not entirely out of this yet, I guess, because he doesn't have any energy in the discard pile. So with some, like through my GX attack, I can maybe make something happen, but I'm not gonna bench this other Lapras because I don't want to give him a Lysander target. And yeah, I have enough energy to do things. Replaces the stadium, that's fine. But, oh no, wow, I survive. He uses up his GX attack. I don't have any more healing, but I do have a Lapras-GX on the bench. And I get to Ice Beam GX in order to prevent him from attacking me next turn. And then I can Blizzard Burn for the KO. So what I thought was going to be a really, really fast game. Oh, no. No, he did have the Lysander. Okay, that was a mistake on my part. That was a very, very big mistake, especially because I already discarded the Olympia. Wow, that was terrible. That was honestly terrible on my part. Okay, so I do find a Team Flare Grunt. He finds another energy. He's going to power Flower Supply. Why would you attach the other energy? That I do not get. But I'll take it. I will definitely take it. Okay, so I have a decision here. No, yeah, sure. I have a decision. Either I get a KO or I don't. So I really do want a KO. And there's also one Ranger in my discard pile, which is not cool. So I'm gonna Kukui. I don't need to, but I'm gonna Kukui. I get a Judge, which could further help me. But I'm gonna Blizzard Burn for the KO here, and we're actually ahead. Like, it's only because he's just not drawing any of his energy, and his deck is pretty thin. But now there's two grass energy in the discard pile, which is great. We do see Plume come up, but he has to retreat into the Oddish. We get to heal once again, and we get to start powering up this other Lapras-GX. Now, I can also heal through Pokemon Center Lady, but oh man, the Blizzard Burn condition just really sucks. What? And my opponent just outright concedes. There was no reason to do that. I'm pretty sure my opponent still, like, as long as he found a single energy eventually, he would have been fine, maybe? I don't know. But anyways, pretty cool. Pretty cool way to win. Probably, like, that matchup must be a lot worse than the CGI Plume, because they run more energy and they also attack faster and cheaper, and it's only a stage 1, so like that's a 1 in 100 win. And my opponent did concede quite quickly. He shouldn't have attached that other, but he should not have attached that second grass energy to the active Lurantis. I think that was a big mistake. Like, because he did that, I assumed he had another energy, but turns out he doesn't. And here we go. Here's the consequence of running only 4 Laprases. We actually find 2 of them now, but we did give my opponent 2 mulligans. We are going first. I'm gonna Sycamore, so there's no reason not to bench the other Lapras. Otherwise, if you're going first, there's no reason to bench more Pokemon than you're active. You're only giving your opponent like more information on your hand. Like, even though it's irrelevant at that point, like, there's a certain order of things that you can do at different points in the game, at different points in the game, and there's no reason to do things like for example retreating or something like that into your attacker until you're actually ready to attack. So I don't know. Like, for example, you'll be in a situation where your Pokemon gets KO'd, and you have a Plume with a Floatstone, and you have a Decidueye powered up. Now, there's like a 99% chance you're gonna end up attacking with the Decidueye, so you end up promoting that. But there's actually no reason to do that. All you have to do is like promote the Plume, and then when you are actually ready, because maybe your top deck might change something, or maybe you actually, I don't know, decide to play something else. You come up with a different win condition. Like, there's no reason to, even though there are many things that are obvious, there's like benching more basic Pokemon when you're going first because your opponent can't do anything to prevent that. There's no reason to do it. So, like, I don't know. I mean, it's very minor things, but in the long run, those very minor things can actually add up to huge differences. And now we see my opponent play out the max elixir. Seems like we are 1-1 against Volcanion in today's video, so there's a second elixir. You can see the power of elixir right there. And my opponent's hand is so small, and he actually has Oranguru. Wow, are you serious? Are you seriously going to attack me with Volcanion right now? Are you that real? Yeah, wow. Wow. I mean, I guess in a magical scenario, he finds another Volcanion and another basic energy, and he actually KOs my Lapras on turn 1. That would be just too sick. Like, that would be too much for me to handle. A turn 1 Volcanion EX KO on my Lapras-GX. He's gonna deal 160 damage though, he's not shy about it. 170 damage, fair enough. Yep, he just goes for it. Wow. Wow. Okay. So now I'm forced to play my stadium. I did get rid of a switch. So I mean, he can't attack in theory, but my opponent got such a good start. He could just retreat and steam up and KO my Lapras, right? So maybe if I play the Team Flare Grunt and deny him that energy, I could actually do something here. Because what are the odds that he actually has a switch or an escape? Well, the escape rope doesn't get him a KO, but what are the odds that he has a switch and another basic fire energy to attach and another basic fire energy to use team up? So I feel like the odds are telling me to use the Team Flare Grunt and that I can collect safely here, kind of safely. Hopefully I don't regret this once again. Hopefully I don't regret this once again, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so there's 2 fire energy right there. There's the 2 fire energy I was talking about. Does he have the Ranger? Does he have the switch? Okay, he attaches to the Volcanion EX. Are you serious? You have the Ranger or the Olympia or the escape rope. That works too, but I'll take the escape rope. I actually don't mind the escape rope too much. Sure, he's gonna deal a lot of damage, yes, but I'm gonna be able to KO the Volcanion. Like, he's going all in on this Volcanion EX. I'm pretty sure this is a very big misplay. Well, the end changes things because now I don't have the energy switch and I might have to dig for it, which is not good news. And it seems like I will have to dig for the energy switch and a water energy as well. We do see a Nest Ball, so this is probably a non-shaman version of Volcanion. And we do see an elixir though, so that's cool. We do see 2 steam ups, but this Lapras does have the Fighting Fury belt, so we will get to survive the hit. We would survive. No, we wouldn't survive a 3rd Volcanion steam up because he has the Fighting Fury belt, but he's going all in on this Volcanion. So sure, both of my Laprases will be very heavily damaged. Yep, there's a 200 damage. Now I actually want to find the switch, or like I need to hit this elixir potentially. I do. And now I have to Sycamore so I can find no switch. No switch and no and no energy switch, so no KO from me. Ugh, this is so bad. This is actually so bad. So my Lapras has 60 HP. He's already used up 2 float stones and an escape rope. Sia versus Seeker for a Sycamore and N. Okay, so more N's. More N's. Man, we're struggling so much with this deck. Like yeah, it's weird. We hit the elixir, but it's really not that big a deal. So we do see the end. Can my opponent find a switching card? A switch or an escape rope? No, but he does find a stadium. So now we might lose the stadium war. Does he find 2 fire energy so that he can KO me with 2 steam ups? And here's the really sucky part. If my opponent retreats into a baby Volcanion, I won't get 2 prize cards. No. Don't do this. 1 steam up. 1 steam up. Okay. Whew. And we're still in a very sucky position. Don't get me wrong. 2 Laprases. And ugh. Okay. Can I flip heads? Yes, I can. Okay, so I'm gonna remove the energy off of this baby Volcanion. And then I'm going, like, if I can't find an energy here, I'm going to be really mad. To be really, really mad. So let us Sycamore here. Wasting another Berserker and a Lysander, which, as you saw, were very, very crucial towards the end, like in game 1. Now I do find an energy, so I think I should go the safe route and just attack with the benched and retreat. Even though I do lose 2 energy that way, it's better losing 2 energy than 3 energy and 2 prize cards, right? At least in my mind. So do I use the GX attack? I guess. So that I can Lysander Blizzard the next turn. I mean, yeah, Lysander Blizzard Burn the next turn onto the powered up Volcanion EX. Because attacking the baby is not really too relevant for our purposes, because the heavy hitter is the EX. The heavy hitter is definitely the EX. I don't think my opponent has used Oranguru though. And wow. Ugh. Come on. I don't have Switch or Olympia. What is this? Ugh. What is this? I'm gonna have to collect. Wow, there's another N. Okay, so that gives us a chance to find the Olympia or the Switch. There's 2 Switch and 1 Olympia. Nope. We could use a Berserker for a Judge, could use a Berserker for a Sycamore, but neither of those are ideal, honestly. How many switching cards? 1 escape rope, 2 escape ropes, and 3 float stone already used up for my opponent. I top deck a Kukui, I get to heal off, I get to burn the Dive Ball, and oh well, there's 1 switch prize, so never mind. I'm gonna use the elixir. I do hit, nice. I'm gonna play the Kukui, and I do find a water energy. Okay, that's cool. So I'm gonna collect. So yeah, we're spending so many turns using collect. We do hit the switch, we have an energy switch, and we have Lysanders and versus Seekers. So now we're in prime position. As long as my opponent doesn't mess up with our hand once again, we should be in a really, really good position here. We really should be, I think. And we're slowly healing our Laprases, which is also very nice. Slowly but surely healing our Laprases. Where's the Seeker N? Yep, where's the Seeker N? So it's the N. The N parade here. Okay. Okay. See, we're always like one card away, either the switch or the energy switch, for us to get KOs. So what? Am I really going to just retreat? We find a rough seas. I really don't want, like, it's not cost effective to just keep retreating my Laprases. But I don't have a choice. I actually don't have a choice. And I already have 20 damage on me. At least I have a Ranger. And I mean, I guess slowly but surely we are pulling ahead. Getting that energy of the prize cards is huge. How many energy does my opponent have already gone through? There's 5 in the discard and 4 in play, that's 9, so only 3 left. But you always assume 12 energy for Volcanion. Nest Ball for another Volcanion, that's the 3rd one. So my opponent could still pull this off. And another N. Yep. Another N. What are we gonna draw off of it this time around? Verse Seekers would be nice. Olympia is great. Well, not really. Olympia is not great. Olympia is definitely not great here. Tusia Max Elixir. That does apparently hit. My opponent has 7 cards in his deck, so that's the 10th energy. 5 in play. Oh no, 5 in play, 7 in the discard pile. Wow, and he just outright attacks. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna attach the energy here, and I obviously versus Seeker Ranger, right? Because that just means I need a single energy in order to win. Because Lapras-GX on the bench can just outright KO everything. We do also find a switch and the Olympia, and there we go. Finally, we get that win. So I guess we won the best of 3 against Volcanion. That's definitely the expected. Like, there's no way Lapras is a good matchup or an even matchup for Volcanion. We just kept drawing things in the wrong order, but in the end, we managed to pull through. So that will be all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Daily videos are a thing, so come back tomorrow because there will be daily English TCG videos from now on. At least all month of April, there will be daily English TCG videos. So come back every day instead of just coming back Monday and Wednesday. I'm pretty sure you will enjoy all the new decks and the extra content, which a lot of you have been requesting for quite a while. Well, now I have the time to fulfill that request, and I hope in return you guys come back to watch the videos. Please leave a like if you can, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.